Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So, on today's episode, well, really quick, make sure you blame Eddie in the comments below because, well, Eddie did help out with this episode. And if I make any mistakes in this episode, of course, it is always Eddie's fault. It is never my fault, right? So, yeah, if I make any mistakes in this episode, if I misspeak, if I bring up a card that you disagree with, not being a good fit for this commander, it's always Eddie's fault. Eddie definitely helped with this episode. So yeah, it's Eddie's fault, not mine, right? Blame Eddie in the comments below right now. Again, thank you, Eddie, for all your help during spoiler season. Regardless, it is not really officially spoiler season. Yesterday, there was a first look. Official spoiler season starts off on January 17th, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, today we have some good news because Jor Kadeen is officially not a Phyrexian. Has not been completed, at least not yet. Not for this set. Jor Kadeen is officially safe, so an old favorite from way back when, yeah, is coming back and is still, not a Phyrexian. Great. So some good news as opposed to, some of the more sad news recently, like, Slowbad apparently is a Phyrexian. So you haven't seen my episode on that, make sure you check that one out. And then my most recent episode about 5 planeswalkers out of the 11 or 10 that have been revealed are going to be Phyrexianized as well. So yeah, not all good news. But yeah, Jor Kadeen doing great. Yeah, let's go Jor Kadeen. So Jor Kadeen, first Goldwarden, is a 2/2 human rebel with trample that costs red and a white. Whenever it attacks, it gets +X until after X the number of equipped creatures you control. Then if Jor Kadeen's power is 4 or greater, draw a card. So this commander is, incentivizing you to go wide with equipment. Get a bunch of equipment out, get a bunch of creatures out, equip them up, and start swinging. The more creatures that you have that are equipped, the more, power Jor Kadeen's going to get when it attacks. Also, a very easy requirement for you to meet is for Jor Kadeen's power to be 4 or greater, so you can draw a card. So that can be a lot of card advantage for you throughout the game. Obviously, there are equipment out there that literally can just give a Jor Kadeen, I mean, even just like a Bone Saw, +1/+0, right? I think Bone Saw is +1/+0. Anyways, just +1/+0 will do the job if it's equipped to Jor Kadeen because, it'll get another +1/+1 when it attacks because it's equipped. So, yeah, I mean, obviously you can meet that requirement pretty easily, but yeah, as long as you've got 2 other creatures in play that have equipment, you don't even have to have equipment on Jor Kadeen if you don't want to. But regardless, yeah, this is kind of like a very interesting commander. Many equipment commanders kind of more like to focus on, on the Voltron kind of path, focus on one creature getting all the equipment. This one's saying, no, let's spread things out. We're going to have a lot of creatures in play. We're going to have a lot of equipment in play. We're going to get them equipped up. And yeah, I'm going to hit your opponents very, very hard. Again, Jor Kadeen does have trample, so that can be quite fun. And of course, keep in mind, again, this is an attack trigger. And there are certain ways we'll talk about here in a bit to get that attack trigger multiple times in a single turn. So yeah, this commander can end up hitting pretty hard once you're set up properly. Now, next up really quick before we move on to some cards to consider for this commander, I do want to point out there is a Phyrexianized version of Jor Kadeen. So apparently this is what Jor Kadeen would look like if Jor Kadeen was Phyrexianized. Now, Jor Kadeen has not been Phyrexianized. This is kind of one of those what-if cards, I believe they're calling them. Essentially like, hey, what if this happened? Well, it hasn't happened or didn't happen, so Jor Kadeen, don't worry if you see this card. Jor Kadeen is not Phyrexianized yet, or, might not be at all. But yeah, just make sure that you're on the lookout for that. Jor Kadeen is still safe from Phyrexia. Not completely safe. Battling Phyrexia. Anyways, let's move on. But before we go into the cards, actually, let's talk about the good old days really quick and talk about Jor Kadeen, the original card. Jor Kadeen, the Prevailer, a 5/4 human warrior with first strike that costs 3 red, white, so Boros as well. Quite a bit more, costly of a commander, in comparison, right? 5 mana versus 2. Metalcraft creatures you control at +3/+0, as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. So also artifact-based, not specifically equipment-based. But yeah, this commander's like, hey, you want to go wide and also, get some artifacts in play and pump your team? Yeah, so it's somewhat similar in some ways. Again, it incentivizes you to go wide by pumping your team +3/+0. Also somewhat artifact-based. This one, again, very much more specific. Hey, let's get some equipment out. Let's get some creatures equipped. Let's start swinging. Let's start drawing some cards. Let's start having some fun. So, yeah, now we're going to move on, though, and talk about the budget buys. These are going to be cards that I'm going to be recommending that are within my own budget. So, less than $1 per card. So, first up, let's talk about some fantastic equipment to consider, like Shuko, Crafted War Gear, and Leather Armor. Shuko is a very simple equipment. Equip creature gets +1/+0. Equip 0. This one's actually probably more the one I'm thinking of. I think Bonesaw might give +2. No, Bonesaw. No, it also gives +1/+0. Anyways, regardless, Shuko's a great one because it's got an equip cost of 0, which is very important because, yeah, now you don't have to kind of utilize mana for that. You get creatures in play, you can just equip them for free, essentially. And then by doing that, again, you can just kind of utilize your mana in other ways, and you can still benefit your commander by getting it to be more powerful on that attack trigger. Speaking of which, Crafted War Gear, a really good card in a deck like this. Equip creature gets +3/+2. Whenever it comes untapped from a permanent, sacrifice that permanent, and again, equip 0. So this one, you don't want to move around creatures, because if you do, well, those creatures are going to be sacrificed. But yeah, you can just utilize this on a singular creature. Probably not your commander, because again, if this gets dealt with, that creature gets dealt with. But yeah, maybe a creature token or something. And again, it's a free way to equip a creature to ensure that you are meeting that requirement for your commander. And then also, again, yeah, it pumps that creature quite a bit for, being a 0 equip cost. Leather Armor, also 0 equip, but it can only activate once each turn, which is fine. Equip creature +0/+1 and has ward 1, so a little bit of protection there. So yeah, equip creatures, when you're going to equip creatures, you want to definitely consider equipment that have low equip costs so you can utilize your mana very efficiently. Plate Armor, a card that does have an equip cost of 3, but it does say this ability costs 1 to activate for each other equipment you control. So yeah, in a deck like this, you're going to have a lot of equipment. It also says equip creature gets +3/+3 and has ward 1. Yeah, that can help hit a lot harder and help protect as well. So yeah, definitely make sure you're considering, again, equipment that either have a low equip cost or have the potential to have a low equip cost. Speaking of which, Bruno Battlehammer can basically get around any equip cost. It says you may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate each turn. This one can save you a lot of mana on something that have a big equip cost, or again, just save you some mana that you can utilize elsewhere. And of course, on top of that, each creature you control gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it. This can just pump your entire team quite a bit, or, specific creatures even more. Aster Bearer of Blades does say equipment you control have equip 1. So yeah, now this one again essentially says, hey, even if you have some higher equip costs, I'm going to reduce that for you so you can, use your mana more efficiently. Also, when it enters the battlefield, you can look at top 7 cards of your library, get equipment, from it on top into your hand. So yeah, and also vehicles too, but don't worry about vehicles. You're probably not going to be using vehicles too much with a commander like this, but you never know. Moving on, some other legendary creatures that can really help you out with equipment: Danitha, Shram, and Akiri. Danitha is going to make your orders and equipment cost 1 less to cast, so you can cast them more efficiently and effectively. So again, not only saving, on equip costs with a lot of things, or, having very low equip costs for your equipment, but also saving on cast them. That can lead to a lot of explosive turns, a lot of explosive plays. Speaking of which, Shram can help you build up things as well. Whenever you cast an or equipment or vehicle spell, draw a card. So yeah, being able to help you churn through your deck quite quickly when you are utilizing a lot of equipment. Speaking of which, Akiri, also a great way to draw a lot of cards. Whenever you attack a player with 1 or more equipped creatures, draw a card. So yeah, spread out your attacks, draw even more cards. Also, pay a white unattached equipment for a creature you control. If you do, tap it, it gains indestructible until end of turn. Can be a great way to protect a key creature for you. Moving on, speaking of protecting creatures, Call the Forge Master. Whenever another non-token equipped creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, return to its owner's hand. So yeah, basically it's a great way to save your creatures if they are equipped. If they're going to be dealt with, they're coming back to your hand instead of being actually, dealt with. Creature tokens you control that are enchanted or equipped get +1/+1. That's also really nice because, yeah, again, when it comes to going wide, a very easy way to do that is to make a lot of creature tokens, and there are plenty of great ways to do that in this color combination. I mean, Assemble Legion is a fantastic one. Basically, you're starting off with 1 muster counter on it. You get a 1/1, then the next time you get another muster counter, so that's 2. So you get 2, then 3, then 4. Basically, every single turn, you're getting more and more and more tokens. And yeah, you can just flood the board very quickly with something like this. Next up, though, one thing that I kind of mentioned earlier in the episode that can be incredibly effective with a commander like this: extra combat spells. Resurgence. Creatures you control gain first strike, vigilance on end of turn after this main phase, or combat phase. Basically, hey, you get an extra combat, which is absolutely massive because, again, you're getting your commanders triggered twice. So yeah, it's going to get pumped twice. You get to draw twice. You're getting any other combat triggers twice as well. So yeah, you can take a lot of advantage of extra combat spells. Also, an extra combat creature, Aki Battle Squad. Whenever 1 or more modified creatures you control attack, untap all modified creatures you control after this combat phase. basically, extra combat. Anyways, yeah, modified counts equipped creatures. So yes, if your equipped creatures are attacking, you get to attack with them again, including your commander if it's equipped. So yeah, doubling up on that trigger can be quite great. And speaking of great things as well, now let's move on to the pricier picks. So yeah, let's move up and talk about some cards that might be slightly out of my budget, and yeah, ones that you might want to consider if you got the budget for them. So first up, yeah, a lot of these extra combat spells have actually gotten quite expensive recently. I mean, Relentless Assault used to be like a 50-cent card. Now it's like $2. So yeah, Wizards reprint it, please, thank you. Relentless Assault, yeah, basically just the standard extra combat spell for 4 mana. Again, it can give you a lot of value. It can also, help take opponents out of nowhere, essentially by, they're going to do their combat map pick and they're fine, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, let's do it again. Aurelia the War Leader, a repeatable extra combat, essentially. Whenever it attacks the first time each turn, you untap all creatures after its main phase, combat phase. Rog, Fear of Comb. Basically, extra combats on landfall. So, yeah, I mean, have fun with that. Next up, speaking of having fun, Godo Bandit Warlord enters the battlefield, go get an equipment, get around the battlefield. So, yeah, that can be a great way to get out a key piece of equipment. And also, on top of that, whenever it attacks the first time each turn, you untap it all Samurai you control after its main phase or combat phase. So, yeah, you're going to be untapping it again. Also, if you really want to go in this direction, sure, you can include Helm of the Host, which is a combo with Godo. Essentially, infinite combats with that, and you win. So, yeah, that could be a card to consider. Helm of the Host, obviously, just works well with this commander as it is anyways. Next up, Sigarda's Aid, Pure Steel Paladin, and Stoneforge Mystic can be great in this deck as well. Sigarda's Aid lets you cast your aura and equipment, more importantly, spells though they add flash, and whenever one enters the battlefield, you can just attach it directly to a creature you control, so you just basically get around equip costs for that. Pure Steel Paladin, whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under control, you may draw a card, so again, complicate another Shram, essentially, but also on top of that, and most importantly, equipment you control have equip 0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. You're gonna have 3 or more, so basically all your equipment costs are 0. You can save a ton of mana with this throughout the game when this is in play. Stoneforge Mystic enters the battlefield, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put in your hand, then shuffle, and pay 1 in white, tap, you can put it directly from your hand on the battlefield. So yeah, you can go get something massive, maybe a big piece of equipment that can really help you hit hard, or, just go get one of these swords. I mean, yeah, the swords are very expensive, very effective. They don't really have that high of an equip cost to be just equipped 2. Obviously, again, we've already talked about ways to reduce that cost with certain things, or, even get it, for free in certain situations as well. But yeah, these swords are very powerful. They can help protect your creatures, essentially, pump them, and also have really good effects. I mean, Sword of Feast, Famine, +2/+2, pro black, pro green. Whenever equipped creature deals counter to a player, that player discards a card you untap a land you control. Yeah, it's quite the effect. So yeah, if you got the budget for them, the swords might be ones to consider. And again, just a warning, they can be quite expensive. But yeah, now this episode is coming to a close. It's time for me to give you my final thoughts on this commander. Yeah, I mean, I think, go wide equipment is kind of an interesting way to go about it. This commander, again, is pretty low to the ground, can give you a good amount of value throughout the game, and can hit hard once you're set up properly. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a place for her. There's going to be certain, players out there who are going to be really excited about this one. And yeah, you might be one of those players, and if you are, make sure you check out my links in the description below for the budget buys, and the pricier pickups. And yeah, consider picking up some of those cards. And also make sure you're staying tuned for even more exciting quick takes and spoilers. I'm not sure if anything's going to be coming out between, now and January 17th when the actual spoiler season starts. But yeah, make sure you're on the lookout for that. And yeah, of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one, and play Medi. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.